Welcome friends to the 2025 Lexus GX550, the Overtrail. Just the regular Overtrail, not the Plus model. Regardless, all of these new GX550s, they are powered by the 3.4-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine, putting out 349 horsepower and 479 pounds-feet of torque. And a special thank you to Bentley of Greensboro, North Carolina for this opportunity. If you are interested in buying this SUV, this dealership, they do offer nationwide shipping, and I will have Chris Rivas and his phone number on the screen and in the description box below. But before we set off, there's a few more things that I want to address. These Overtrails, these are the off-road ready GXs. We also have the premium trim level, the luxury, and then these Overtrails. So all GX550s come with full-time four-wheel drive and the Torsen limited slip differential, but these Overtrails, they come with the adaptive variable suspension, the EKDSS system, and also electronic rear locking differential as well. We also have your 18-inch wheels wrapped in 33-inch tires. These are the Toyo Open Countries. I've already driven the regular Premium Plus model. Let's see how this Overtrail does out on the road now. All right, so I've driven the regular Premium Plus model. I do like this new generation of the GX550. However, keep in mind, if you're coming from the previous generation GX460, this is going to be a totally different experience. I like both vehicles just for very different reasons. I am noticing that with this Overtrail, the engine does seem to be a bit smoother than the Premium Plus that I tested. I noticed that the engine was reverbing throughout the cabin a bit more in the Premium Plus. This one, a little less so, so that's really good. Of course, we don't have like that warm resonance of the V8 engine. As you're about to see out on the road, the sheer sense of power and thrust that you feel from this engine, it is truly incredible. And I know the 0 to 60 time of 6.5 seconds, it doesn't sound amazing, but out in the real world, it does truly feel great. I do like the seating position in this GX550. It feels like it's really easy to drive. It's not intimidating at all, but at the same time, you have a good view over the road. I have my foot like a quarter of the way down and the vehicle just gets up to speed effortlessly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just rely on a 0 to 60 number. There's just so much more to the driving experience than just that. I also really like the small steering wheel. Makes the vehicle feel rather nimble, even though this is like a 5,700 pound SUV. Yeah, the engine still has like a raspiness to it, of course. It's not the most pleasant sounding thing. However, it's not like vibrating and reverberating like the Premium Plus that I tested. That was a 2024 model year. This is a 2025. And naturally, things like the Overtrail and the luxury models, they are at the very top of the lineup. And for whatever reason, I have noticed that with the Lexus brand and many other brands, when you move up to the top trim levels, you just naturally get a better driving experience. No idea why that is. Nobody has an explanation for it. I'm like one of the few people online talking about this, but other owners have mentioned something similar, especially regarding, the Lexus RX, etc. But enough of that. Let's get back to the driving experience here. We don't have like double pane glass or anything like that, but this is a rather thick piece of glass being used, and you don't get a ridiculous amount of noise even at highway speeds. Vehicle feels planted and stable. These all-terrain tires, remarkably quiet. What I like about this engine is, despite it being turbocharged, it doesn't just give you the thrust at a standstill. Even when you're already up and moving, you do get really good acceleration. But we do have adaptive dampers here. And I do notice that the suspension does tighten up a little bit when you put this vehicle into its Sport or Sport Plus modes. But really, the way this vehicle responds just in the normal mode is excellent. It is perfect for daily driving. You do notice that the engine gets a little bit more aggressive sounding in these sport modes. But I just like the fact that you genuinely notice a difference in this mode regarding the suspension and the steering. Even with my Lexus LC500, you would not notice a difference going between comfort mode, sport mode, but here there's a real difference. Paddle shifters, a bit lethargic to react. However, no matter which mode you select, the ride quality, it is exceptional. Normal mode, sport mode, doesn't matter. And the braking performance, it's also great. You know, despite this being a 5,700 pound SUV, stopping performance, it's excellent. You have plenty of confidence in this. So let's get this vehicle out of sport. Let's actually put it into its comfort setting, because there's normal and there's comfort. Immediately you notice everything relaxes. But yeah, this vehicle, it is a pleasure to drive, despite it being totally different from the GX460. There is for sure a lot to like here. First of all, the power is a huge improvement over the previous V8. And despite some wind noise coming through the windshield, it's done in a way that it's not annoying, if that makes sense. And no matter which surface you're driving over, the vehicle is absolutely comfortable. Expansion joints, all of that, not an issue. Not to mention this vehicle, it feels rather easy to drive, easy to place out on the road. Turning radius seems to be really good. So overall, I am impressed. I do miss the V8 of the GX460, but this new GX550, it makes up for it in other ways, like handling and power. I also like the way this SUV looks. This particular model, it is finished in the atomic silver. The GX550, it genuinely does get a lot of attention out on the road. So if you appreciate that, well, there you go. Regardless, let's go ahead and let's get into the interior space now. All right, let's quickly talk about this interior space. It's your door card right there. We have the new Lux interior with these olive green suede inserts. And we also have some olive green inserts here on the door card as well. You do get the one-touch up and down windows for all four windows. Very nice. So look at your storage. We have here the 8-way adjustable seats. The Overtrail Plus would come with 10-way adjustable seats. Those are the auxiliary switches. Okay. You do have electronic telescopic steering wheel. Step inside. So I mentioned during the drive, I really like the size of this steering wheel. It makes it really easy to drive this, and it just feels nimble out on the road due to this small steering. Even though the Overtrail is not technically top of the line, this still comes really well equipped. You have the heated and cooled seats, as you can see, and heated steering wheel. We also have, the climate control that's embedded into this very large 14-inch display. But I have to admit, this is rather easy to use. One of the better implementations. Lexus has done a great job in making this easy to use, easy to understand. This is your drive mode selection. We have a million different drive modes to choose from. You got Sport, Sport Plus, Comfort, Normal, Eco, Custom. Honestly, that's just a bit much. First of all, they can just do with one sport mode. That would be more than fine. Regardless of that, you also have a 360 camera, which I appreciate. Rather clear, rather crisp. Once again, makes it rather easy to park. And we have the full digital gauge cluster as well. Very nice, shows you a lot of good information. And fuel economy, it's kind of average with these. 15 city, 21 highway, and that's for every trim level of the GX. Got some USB-C ports here as well. Got your two cup holders. You do have the wireless charging pad here with this particular model. We have the icebox cooler in the middle for this model. Regarding the glove box, it's a decent size, but the books take up the majority of the space. And the overall solidity of this cabin is really good, but I really like the previous GX460. There was like a robustness that particular vehicle came with, and I do feel like the GX460 felt more luxurious on the inside. Yeah, this new model has, the big screen and all of the best tech, of course, and this is good, don't get me wrong, the solidity of the cabin is good, that's the most important thing, but I just felt like there was a more luxurious vibe regarding the GX460, the previous generation. It just felt more special somehow. This feels a bit more generic. You know what this really feels like to me, both in the drive and also the interior space? This feels like a luxurious Ford Bronco, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I love products like the Bronco, but here we just have a much more luxurious version of that. In the drive, the refinement, the comfort, the features, everything just feels more polished here. So that's what I'm saying. I like the GX550 just for a very different reason. These seats are also exceptionally comfortable. That's another big improvement regarding these new generation Toyota Lexus vehicles. Very comfortable seats. Got your automatic headlights here. Got your paddle shifters. You do get the useful safety tech features as standard here, like your blind spot monitoring, your rear cross traffic alert, and I already showed you the 360 camera. Now, if you got the Overtrail Plus model, you would be able to get massaging front seats, but we do not have that here. Something else to note, in the rear, you would also be able to get the rear sunshades. We do not have that here because this is a regular Overtrail. And also for the rear seats, you would be getting the additional climate controls and the heated seats in the back, which again, we do not have here with the regular Overtrail. But let's climb inside. I am 5'11". Getting in and out of this SUV, it's okay. It's not too bad. We do have a side step that's built in. Close that, and this seat, it is set to my setting, and I still have plenty of space to sit behind myself. And I do like the fact that we have some good toe room here underneath the front seats, so that's brilliant. There's a look at the full interior space right there. Again, it's clean. They went for that minimalistic design. Everything is functional, everything works good. I just feel like it lost some character compared to before, but comment below, let me know your thoughts. There you go. Still got some more ports here. USB-Cs. Comfort of the rear seats continue. It is brilliant. And something else to note, these Overtrail models actually lose the third row seats. So these Overtrails only come as a 5-passenger configuration. And I bring this up because I can actually fit in the third row of the GX550. Despite being 5'11", I am able to fit, so I am going to kind of label that as a con regarding the Overtrail models. I get it, not everyone is going to be buying a GX550 for the third row capability, but it's just nice to have in a pinch. Let's open up that trunk. The spare tire is located underneath the vehicle. There you go. Trunk space is really good here. And all of the Overtrails come with the built-in air compressor. Very cool. You do have your various Lexus accessories here as well. There you go. You have some subtle storage, but nothing too crazy. Again, this should be more than enough. Very cavernous, and of course you can fold down the rear seats. You also have an outlet in the back. But yeah, with that established, let's go ahead and let's conclude this review. Okay, wrapping up the 2025 Lexus GX550. Regarding the engine, I am a huge fan of the power and thrust provided by this twin-turbo V6. It just always feels quick and effortless. Not to mention, despite this being a 5,700-pound SUV, when you drive it, you just don't feel it. When you take your everyday left-hand, right-hand turns, there's no ridiculous body roll taking place. And as mentioned in the drive, the modes genuinely make a difference. When you have this in the Sport or Sport Plus mode, you do feel the dampers getting a bit more taut. And when you take those long sweeping corners, you have this feeling of composure and confidence. So I really like all of the driving inputs of the GX550. Now, some of the cons regarding the drive, although this Overtrail model feels better than the Premium Plus that I tested regarding the engine and the refinement, I will say when you accelerate this engine, it naturally just does not sound very good. It's not a pleasant sounding engine. There is a raspiness to it. And the only other unrefined characteristic that I noticed, it's really subtle, but when you have this vehicle just idling at a stop, you can kind of feel the engine and its presence throughout the cabin. But other than that, I do feel like this is much better than the Premium Plus, and I kind of figured that would be the case because this is naturally a higher trim level, and this is also a 2025 as opposed to the 2024 that I tested previously. Moving on from that, this vehicle is actually really well equipped. You have all the useful features that you would want, like the wireless Apple CarPlay, the wireless Android Auto, you got your wireless phone charger, heated and cooled seats in the front, heated steering wheel, 360 camera, etc. I would have loved to see some physical controls for the HVAC, and although that is definitely a con in my opinion, I have to say regarding this 14-inch display from Toyota/Lexus, this is a really good implementation of HVAC into a screen because it's easy to use and easy to access. So I'm not going to let it completely slide, but the overall implementation is pretty good. Solidity of the cabin is fine. The comfort of the seat is excellent. But as I alluded to before during the review, this is a totally different product from the GX460 that this replaces. When you got into the previous generation GX, when you sat in it, when you drove it, you immediately felt, oh, okay, this is a truly unique Japanese vehicle. When you get into this new GX550, that's not really the case. As mentioned during the interior segment, the best way I can describe this is it's a really refined, really high quality Ford Bronco, essentially. It's just a more polished Bronco in every way. Once again, I mean that in a very good way. I love products like the Bronco. I even like the little Bronco, but this is even better than that. So I absolutely do love this SUV. Despite it not feeling like a traditional Lexus product, you can't help but to appreciate the performance of this vehicle. I would personally like to daily drive this for sure. And once again, a special thank you to Bentley of Greensboro, North Carolina for allowing me to do this review. If you're interested in an Overtrail trim level like what I reviewed here, surprisingly, these vehicles, they're still not easy to come by. So there's hardly any new models to choose from, and the used vehicles with several tens of thousands of miles, they're still trading for over sticker, and this vehicle only has about 2,100 miles on it. Really clean vehicle, drives great. If you're interested in buying this dealership, they can ship nationwide, and I will have Chris Rivas and his phone number on the screen and in the description box for you to contact. If you found value with this content, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.